Hey guys, in the previous video I have shown you how to create a picture frame generator, and in this video I will show you how to create USD multivariant file and also USD variants out of it. So as you might see here, I have a HDA, which is basically a collection of nodes which I can get out of this. Oops, not this one. This one. And here I have a collection of nodes which I can just replace some of the values and everything else will still work. So I don't have to create it every single time. But this setup is a little bit different from the one I just showed you. This is because it's specific of this model. So this is the whole setup to save a single multivariant USD file. First of all, let me also show you the scene graph. So I'm using a component geometry LOP as well as component geometry output and component material. Please keep in mind it's going to be confusing for quite a while. So in the component geometry, I have spare parameters which you can do it like so, or edit parameter interface and then drag and drop whatever parameters you would like to have. I have as a preset to do different things. The reason I have it is to reference a file SOP inside of the component geometry. So basically, I'm referencing a Houdini native file format, also specifying a path to mesh and the object name, which is basically a file name. It should be renamed, and the variant number for this. And if we dive inside of it, here's the file, and here I'm using the polar reduce to generate proxy mesh and simulation mesh. And the same process goes into every single variant. And on each component geometry, as you might see, I have increasing the variant number. This is because when I saved variants from PDG, topsnet, so the file name will be like so, like 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, and this is basically is doing for when referencing a file, actual file, as you can see here. So I'm referencing a file path, object name, variant number, and the file extension. And after that, and also this part, this nodes is for the picture frame without inner frame, without like a small frame, small additional frame. And this geometry contains the small frame. So as you can see, the difference here, it doesn't have an additional frame, but this one does have an additional frame, if it makes sense. So component material has an additional parameters which I added also, and this is the whole folder in this folder, and you can here's a folder type if you want to recreate it, but maybe number of variations is an integer, float, it's a string, and random index is an integer. So basically, this this is needed. This is my approach to selecting random picture which I have on the disk. So what I mean by that? It will show. As you can see, the picture is changing randomly. And for me, it's handy because I don't need to go to the material library and change the picture. It's a picture here. So it kind of gives a little bit of speed up when you're creating a lot of variations. It's still not what I'm looking for. I'm still exploring like different setups to do like similar thing, but this is what I currently came up with. And basically, Basically, I'm generating a random index from this formula. It takes a random function, it takes a seed plus a point number, whatever it comes from. I'm not sure really. I guess it's not needed. And then I'm multiplying by number of variations. So whatever value you have here, it won't go beyond this value. So if I have a number of variations is set to 12, random index won't go above this number. So as you can see, you won't see like number 13 here, only 12. And yeah, and here I specify a primitive path, which basically here I'm selecting a top light texture to proxy and render geometry, because component geometry generates a proxy mesh and render mesh. As you remember, this is why so many substance designer nodes here. Sorry. So this file will generate a render mesh, and this one will generate a proxy. And I just drag and drop them into here. And here I'm also adding a channel reference, copy parameter, place relative reference, but it doesn't, for some reason it didn't work, but you can paste it here. And it will return a random number, which will load a picture shader from the material library, which is this one. So here I have a simple Material X standard surface shader. It has a name of picture 1, picture 2, picture 0, and stuff like that. And I'm also using a Material X image node, which just loads an image. And I'm plugging it into the base color. And here I'm also doing some weird things. I won't be explaining it because it's kind of looks weird to me as well. So I won't be explaining. But if you want to see what parameters I have here, you can see it right now. Basically, it's additional randomization from the previous randomization from the component material. So it's randomization on top of randomization. And then I'm also pasting a random image, and then I'm pasting a relative reference to the file name, which opens an image file. And here I have 13 images, because I have a zero image also. So yeah, this is the first material. If it sounds confusing, just go through this part of the video several times, and eventually it might make some sense. But as I said, I'm still exploring this type of workflow, and there's absolutely a better way to do it. And so the first material tab is a picture frame picture. The second one is a picture frame like this brownish color, and you can sorry, not this one. Outer frame. You can also change colors, and the same formula is used here. And the last one is a inner frame. You can also change colors. This is also to speed up variation creation process a little bit. Ideally, of course, it will be for each loop with variant block, but I'm still figuring it out. And the way I have changed colors of these frames is pretty simple also. So I'm importing a Megascans surface material. It's a basic one, nothing really special here. It's very simple. And then I'm doing kind of variations out of it. And so I'm plugging a biscolor image into material X mix node, which is basically to add a color variation, as you might saw here. So this red color, this is the one. So it grabs this color. And then I'm using additional material mix node to control the mix of the color. I don't know how to build shaders properly. This is also something I'm exploring right now. I'm trying to get a better understanding of it. But yeah, the whole process is done for other colors. And the same thing goes to the inner frame. Exactly the same thing. And yeah, and then after that, you plug everything into the component geometry variance LOP. And you name it somehow. And then you have a variance. And you can either explore variance or you can set variant. As you can see, it's changing. And after that, you specify a file path. It's also a spare parameter I have. And I'm also referencing a component variance geometry variant set name here. This is basically this name. And under the component output, I also added a checkbox to save layer variance. By mistake, written a wrong name. And yeah, here I also specifying a variance path, name and file name, and source is input primitives. And this is basically just for testing purpose. And finally, after all of this process to save into a multivariant USD file, you can save everything into the separate files by referencing each of the variant file. And finally, if you want to save each of the USD variants separately for assets, USD assets database, here's how you can do it. Here I have a simple null, which is a controller. Here I specify the path to the multivariant USD file, and just to control it from the single node instead of going through multiple nodes, if there will be multiple nodes. And here I also reference in a component geometry variant set name. Here I reference in the USD multivariant file name, which is this one. And pretty much that's pretty much it. Then I'm setting a variant. The reason you might see this weird artifacts is because it's a low-res mesh. It's a proxy mesh right now. If I switch to final render, it will look like this properly. So you can set index here. Here I also have a reference, this one. And then if you want to rename something, rename the path name in your scene graph, you can do it with a restructure scene graph, which is basically not really required, but this is what I've done. And this reference comes from this variant number. It's in both directions from here. So I can change it here. We can change it here. So I'm referencing this value here. And it says this is options. Here I'm specifying not default camera rotation, because by default it was pointing in the different direction. And you can specify mode, either to render from the viewport or TGL or Karma render or whatever. You can, or RenderMan or any other engine. And here I specify the file path and use the file extension, which I'm referencing here. Oh, here. And here. And after that, all I need to do is to click save, change the variant number, click save, click save, click save, click save. And after that, I can open a layout assets gallery. I can open a directory. And I can, here's this assets, the single variants from this simple setup. And I can add a folder and click OK. Component geometry output will start rendering thumbnails and they will appear here. And so this is a test scene I have, simple scene. And the table is being downloaded from the Sketchfab, which is also a USD file. And then I used my books, which I have here, which I also created in the previous video of procedural book generation. This is how I created them. And then I'm adding the pictures, mostly using line brush and the nudge brush. Basically, I created a line, and then I move some of the pictures a little bit. And then I also add in the books, and merging them, adding lights, adding materials to the books and walls. And then I'm also using a line shader to change the type of bokeh to more like anamorphic look. And then cameras, and that's pretty much it. And this is how it looks like. And by the way, I have saved the multivariant file. And now this photo on the left has been changed also. I just noticed it. Actually disable line shader. And this is how it looks like. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found it useful. Let me know if you have any questions. If something was confusing, just drop a comment down below or tell me what is confusing so I can improve in the future to maybe explain something better or stuff like that. And yeah, have a great day. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.